On a warm, golden afternoon in the heart of the African savanna, a seasoned conservationist named Samuel stood at the edge of a wildlife reserve, gazing out over the vast plains. He had come to study the cheetah population, animals he had dedicated his life to protecting. For over 2 decades, he had been part of countless rescues, rehabilitations, and conservation efforts. But there was one cheetah, in particular, that he never forgot. Years ago, Samuel had found a young, malnourished cheetah cub caught in a wire snare left by poachers. The cub was dangerously close to death, his legs severely injured, and his spirit broken. Samuel had carefully removed the snare, and with great patience, nursed the young cheetah back to health. Day by day, the cheetah, whom he named Keanu, regained his strength, eventually returning to the wild when he was strong enough. Although Samuel had often wondered about Keanu, he knew the cheetah would be unlikely to remember him after so much time had passed. But that day, something strange happened. As Samuel moved deeper into the savanna, he spotted a lone cheetah near a watering hole, staring intently in his direction. Samuel slowed his pace, watching the animal curiously. To his amazement, the cheetah's gaze didn't waver. Instead, the animal seemed to recognize him. The cheetah moved cautiously forward, as if confirming a memory buried deep within him. Samuel felt his heart race. Was it possible this was Keanu? He knew wild cheetahs are solitary animals and typically avoid human contact, especially after years of independence. Yet, this cheetah didn't turn away. Instead, Keanu, for Samuel was almost certain it was him, began to make a low rumbling sound. It wasn't a growl, but a soft, distinctive sound that cheetahs make, known as purring, which they use with their young or close companions. Feeling a mix of caution and excitement, Samuel crouched down slowly, lowering himself to appear less threatening. He extended his hand, though he knew he couldn't expect the cheetah to come any closer. But Keanu moved forward, his eyes never leaving Samuel. When he was close enough, the cheetah paused, as if weighing the familiarity of Samuel's scent. Then, to Samuel's utter astonishment, Keanu gently brushed his head against Samuel's hand in a gesture of trust. Samuel could hardly believe what was happening. Years had passed since their last encounter, and yet, here was Keanu, showing not only recognition but a quiet kind of affection, something so rare in the animal kingdom, especially among wild cheetahs. Tears welled up in Samuel's eyes as he thought back to all the nights he had spent nursing the injured cub, feeding him, keeping him warm, and hoping he would one day survive on his own. For a few precious minutes, Samuel and Keanu remained there, silently acknowledging the bond they shared. It was as if time had stood still, as though Keanu had remembered the one human who had shown him kindness when he was most vulnerable. Samuel knew that cheetahs could recognize and remember, but to have one seek him out and acknowledge him after so many years was beyond anything he had ever imagined. However, as their quiet moments stretched on, Samuel became aware of the delicate balance in front of him. Keanu was, after all, a wild predator, and he was now a fully grown adult with his own life and instincts. Sensing it was time to say goodbye, Samuel gently pulled his hand back and gave Keanu a reassuring nod. Almost as if he understood, Keanu paused, looked deeply into Samuel's eyes one last time, and then turned, moving with graceful strides back toward the savanna. Samuel stayed there, watching as the cheetah's form melted into the horizon, his heart brimming with an unspoken gratitude for the rare encounter. He had spent his life devoted to protecting these animals, yet never before had he felt his efforts returned in such a tangible way. In that moment, he realized that what he had shared with Keanu was a testament to the profound, often unspoken connection that can exist between humans and animals. When Samuel returned to the research station that evening, his colleagues noticed the change in him. He recounted the extraordinary encounter, and many were skeptical, suggesting that he might have read too much into the cheetah's behavior. But Samuel knew what he had experienced, a moment of recognition and gratitude that had crossed the boundaries of species and time. Over the following weeks, Samuel found himself reflecting on how such moments, though rare, serve as powerful reminders of why conservation efforts matter. Every animal has a life, memories, and a capacity for connection, and those qualities deserve respect and protection. Keanu's survival, and his apparent recognition of Samuel, had proven that kindness leaves an indelible mark, even in the heart of a wild animal. In the years that followed, Samuel continued his work with renewed purpose. And although he never saw Keanu again, he carried the memory of their reunion with him as a reminder that even the smallest acts of compassion can echo through time in the most unexpected ways.